Good morning and welcome back to the 2022 iESE Annual Conference. We're kicking off today's sessions with an introductory talk around the Green Agenda. With me in the studio I've got Audrey Wells, Alderman from Mid and East Antrim, Karen Hastings also from Mid and East Antrim, Ian Bowers from Bayber Mid Suffolk, and online with us Mark Hunter from East Ayrshire Council. So we're going to spend a little time exploring individually what the authorities have been up to in terms of their efforts to bring sustainability to their communities, and that's a range from economic through to environmental and social. And then we'll start have a bit of a conversation, a bit of a Q&A around how those experiences come together. And if you want to put in some questions online, then we're happy to take those, and I'll feed those to the panel as we go. So perhaps I can start off with yourselves, Audrey and Karen. You've been doing something actually which isn't just a big thing for you in a local area, but essentially is actually pioneering for the UK and a wider audience as well. Perhaps you might tell us a little bit about what you've been up to and what your businesses in your community have been up to.
Yeah, well, thank you for the opportunity to share with everyone how Mid and East Antrim is opening up a world of opportunity for our business community, particularly with hydrogen bus manufacturer Wrightbus, and how through innovative collaboration at the Hydrogen Training Academy, we are enabling the workforce to transform their skills and to meet the new demand and get ready for a greener future. We are a well-connected region situated in the east coast of Antrim with a gateway to the Glens and the Port of Larne. Our position means that we are ideally situated to benefit from abundant supply of renewable energy resources. We're also home to Kilroot and Ballylumford Energy Parks, which is a subsidiary of EP UK, an energy company focusing on power generation from conventional and renewable sources. And they are a key partner in our Hydrogen Training Academy. We also form part of the wider Belfast metropolitan area, and this means that we are also benefiting from City Deal investment, and we're in a good position as Mid and East Antrim hope to form Northern Ireland's, well, we will form Northern Ireland's clean tech hub in the development of cutting-edge I4C Innovation and Clean Tech Centre based in Ballymena, and which will open in 2027. And this centre will further drive our green innovation and provide sustainable economic growth for the region as a whole. We're also within Council driving a green agenda with our own climate change all-party group. And we have 12 environmental objectives to reach this year, which we are well underway to do. In 21, we were announced as one of the highest performing councils at the Northern Ireland Environmental Benchmarking Survey Awards, achieving a Platinum Award. The Green Agenda and developing the hydrogen economy is at the top of our priority list. We believe that this approach will ensure acceleration of economic growth in a sustainable way to benefit not only our community, but Northern Ireland and UK as a whole.
Brilliant, thank you. I mean, that's an amazing agenda, and we'll come back with some more questions on that later. If I can pass to yourself, Ian, obviously you've got a broader agenda within the authority, but you've had some specific initiatives as well. Perhaps you might want to tell us about what you've been up to and some of those practical solutions.
Sure, and thanks for the opportunity. At Bayber Mid Suffolk, we now run our whole waste fleet on hydro-treated vegetable oil, so that ties in nicely with what you guys are doing over in Antrim. There's been some controversy around HVO. I think the issue really has been that some sources of HVO haven't been certified, and that the oil itself has been coming from palm oil. And palm oil, obviously, the palms themselves are taking up valuable land, and for it to qualify as an HVO or a renewable fuel, if you like, it needs to be waste oil. So we were at great pains to ensure that our supply is waste oil. It has enabled us to cut our carbon emissions by a quarter.
Wow.
That's in terms of our own organisational footprint. However, there's more to be done. HVO really is part of the solution in terms of transport, but it's not the whole solution. What would be lovely, what would be really nice to see is some local homegrown refinery of HVO. I think local authorities are ideally placed for that, because if you think where the waste oil comes from, it's mainly from cooking. We have a register as a local authority of all the food premises because we license them.
Yep.
If we could collect all that oil together and refine it maybe close to Felixstowe in Suffolk, because then we've got Hydrogen East based in Felixstowe, we could then treat it with green hydrogen, and that would be fantastic. Obviously, and I guess it's the same where you guys are from, there's a huge amount of fuel oil used to heat people's homes. If we could, I know it's not the whole answer, but if we could heat their homes with hydro-treated vegetable oil, we'd be cutting down the emissions by around 90%. So, yeah, we made the first step on that journey. Because we're a rural authority with 2 districts, electric vehicles will only provide some of the answer. It's fine if you're a borough council where you've got a very small area to cover, but we're not in that position. So we needed an alternative. HVO means that you don't have to modify the engines of the vehicles, which is great. You just need to have a tank to make sure that you can store the HVO. It lasts longer than diesel. We do have to be careful that the vehicles that we buy are happy to continue providing the warranty on the engine's performance. Yep. But we've managed to cover that off. But I think as we move along, hydrogen may well become part of the answer. But there's more to, I understand in Northern Ireland, you've already got the pipelines in, which is fantastic. We're not in that position, but we are making strides in that area. Personally, I don't really want to see hydrogen. I wouldn't like to see hydrogen brought into the heating homes. I don't think that's the answer, because it kind of allows continuity of fossil fuel supply. But I guess that's an argument for another day. But yeah, would love to see HVO take off in a bigger way. We have got freeport areas in Suffolk as well. It would be great to see a refining company come forward and actually produce HVO sustainably in our region.
So that's you've got a blended approach ultimately anyway, but you've also got some practical steps you can take now based upon HVO, until such time as you potentially can blend hydrogen into that solution.
Possibly, yeah. I mean, I think there's a lot of work still to be done around the uses of hydrogen. We talked before, we sat down today about how hydrogen could be used to treat non-organic fertilisers. There's considerable, there's endless uses of hydrogen. Whether blending it into heating gas is the answer or not, I don't know. It may be part of the answer. Yep. But we'll see.
I think that's our Hydrogen Training Academy. That's what we're looking at, the blend between hydrogen and methane. And we're looking at across different areas of test bed opportunities, which is transportation and heating. So it may or may not work. And that's the whole point of part of that project that we're doing, to see if that is a viable option.
Excellent. Mark, I'd like to bring you in, because obviously we're talking about sustainability. We're talking broadly for our community, not just about decarbonisation, and that's social as well as environmental. Can you tell us a bit about what you've been doing on the Dignified Food Programme in East Ayrshire, and how that's had an impact, not just now, but obviously I think it had a great positive effect during the pandemic as well?
Yeah. Again, thanks again for inviting me along. Obviously, we've got quite good connections with our local suppliers within East Ayrshire, and part of the discussions we had was around about 2017. We started looking at the impact that the communities may have on Brexit. So that sort of got us talking within partners, what could we do differently? We looked at the models of fair share, and we took that forward as a discussion. Soon before that, we started making plans to try and support the communities within the setting up community larders. What happened then was we hit the pandemic, and we were able to move very quickly in setting those larders up, those community larders that we had engagement with already, our suppliers that we had engagement with already, and also fair share. So as a council, we took a membership for Fair Share, and we started picking up surplus food and then delivering it to the community larders we started up. Over and above that, what was there was a lot of information that had to be shared. There was a lot of training to be done with volunteers. That included food safety, included toolbox talks, included these coaching conversations we wanted to have within the community. And then that's where we had our partners like Vibrant Communities working in there and to support the teams. We had constitutions set up so they could apply for funds. And also we supplied them with some funds to get them started up. We bought equipment, shelving, we looked at locations, we set them out, we registered them with the EHOs, and then we grew them. Our plan was to always have 10. We're now at 16 with a view that we'll have 20 going within the next couple of months. Obviously, because now we've moved from the pandemic into the cost of living. What that's done is allowed us to reduce surplus food through Fair Share. And us alone, we've circulated over 130 tonnes of food over the last 2 years through Fair Share. But that doesn't include what the surplus food that the community larders have picked up from the likes of supermarkets and other locations. We also support from additional domestic items through cleaning products as well that we purchased through funding that we were supplied by the council and supported by the council on that. But that's really based on the cost of living and where we go next. Part of that is where we work with our local suppliers, and they do donations. They drop off food and they support us with our food education programs and also the trainer programs that we're planning to teach the community larders so they can then show their own communities how to cook on a budget or one-pot meals. We talk about active fries, those kind of things, and that's the kind of thing we're taking forward next. But we still do the food education programs in school, which our local suppliers support. So that's just a brief outline of where we are with the dignified food program that we do just now.
So that's creating an environment where you've got at least a healthy meal that supports the health, not just the health of children in your area, but also their learning outcomes and so on, which is an important part of the community. What about the farming communities in your area and the links into the supply chain? Is that a part of what you're doing?
Yeah. So we've been on a food journey since 2004 in East Ayrshire. And part of that is about local suppliers. We're quite lucky on our doorstep. We do have quite a few local suppliers. There's working through procurement of how we could have those basically put forward on the procurement exercise to be able to be delivered to the council. We've been through 3 series now of new contracts, and the latest contracts has shown us that by working with the suppliers, allowing them to ask information, more suppliers have applied for those contracts within the council. The contracts we do have are pan-Ayrshire, so north and south can use them and can come in on those. But the likes of what we've had lately is we're working with a few new suppliers. So it's all around fair trade, organic, local as possible, and organic veg. One supplier is working with a local farmer down in Girvan to look at how they can grow organic veg for us, and then we will purchase it under the Food for Life, and we need so much organic per year. And also Moscow milk, for instance, are supplying us with organic milk. But just on that contract alone, which has only started just over a year ago, we've reduced 225,000 250 ml bottles of milk that we used to supply in our school meals by having a system where the milk comes in, we put it in small dispensers, and then those containers go back to Moscow, recycled, sterilised, and then sent out again. So we reduced that single-use plastic. Other suppliers are looking at their own electric fleet, and again, our electric fleet on sustainability and reducing our carbon. And then also what we're looking at is our kitchens. We've got our first induction stroke electric kitchen opening in a couple of months' time, and that's what we're looking at going forward, sustainability. But all our local suppliers, and when we have the contract administration meetings, we ask them what they're doing locally, what they're doing around sustainability, how they're reducing their carbon impact, with the likes of the renewable energy, and the electric fleet, which are all our milk in our primary schools and high schools is delivered at the moment through electric fleet.
Amazing. So that's a complete network of supply chain that you're effectively looking at the environmental credentials of from right at the beginning all the way through to delivery within the community. That's a fantastic story. Yeah. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
I'd like to come back to yourself, Karen. You started to talk about the training academy. Can you tell us a little bit about what was behind that and what made you start to think that was a key part of what you were doing?
Yeah, I suppose, I work in the economic development team, we're always looking at potential growth sectors and where the opportunities are to upskill people and what sort of areas we should focus on. Also, we have a presence of Wrightbus in our borough, so clean tech in general seemed like an area that we wanted to focus on, and hydrogen specifically because of that Wrightbus connection, a global supplier of hydrogen and electrical buses. We thought there was an opportunity there certainly to upskill the workforce, look at new training initiatives that would support post-COVID recovery. So hydrogen was a fit initially. The Pilot Hydrogen Training Academy is a partnership between ourselves, led by ourselves, but with key delivery partners across FE and HE. And we have developed 2 level 3 courses in hydrogen and a level 5 train the trainer course. So you were talking about that as well, Mark. And that's all about educating people in hydrogen so they themselves can develop and deliver level 3 training. We wanted to target level 3 because we wanted it to be really technician led, because a lot of the universities' hydrogen courses are level 7, very high level. So we felt, if you look at, for example, we have a gas safe lab as part of our training. So there's not only just training delivery, there's also very practical training in these labs. And we really wanted to look at gas safe and the gas engineers. There's a lot of gas engineers out there. There's potential for gas or hydrogen to be used in housing, but also in transport. And we basically wanted them to have a unit where they could actually practice in a safe environment using a hybrid boiler and understand how hydrogen works with methane. The first stage in our process is the hydrogen. By the end of this pilot project, we'll have trained 150 people, 60 of whom will have been accredited in a CPD OCN accredited hydrogen course. It's small scale, but this is how I think you start and grow. There's a real demand from industry. We have a lot of engagement with industry, a lot of interest in our labs and in the training courses. These training courses now are embedded within the local colleges, and they will provide them on an ongoing basis in years to come and increase their supply of those courses. So it's been a success, and from that perspective, it is a pilot. We will move on. We've secured £750,000 of funding from external sources, both private, public. We're working very closely with government on policy and industry and how the hydrogen and the clean tech sector is moving. And ultimately, this will feed into, as Alderman Wales has alluded to, our I4C Innovation and Clean Tech Centre, which we're hoping to establish in 2027. And it's all about supporting SMEs in their clean tech journey.
That's fantastic. So you've got a model there you think that other authorities could follow, or do you want them to come and link with you?
We would happy to share the knowledge. We, councils, certainly we are not hydrogen technical experts by any stretch of the imagination, nor do we deliver training. So I think the key but we are an enabler, and we saw that we have a very close link to industry. We have the presence of Wrightbus and other major companies in the borough. We have the power stations, so we have an asset base there in that sector, and there's an opportunity, huge market opportunity. So it's trying to align that and think, how do we grow our economy in the borough? But certainly anybody going down the journey, more than happy to share our experience. It's been difficult at times, because you aren't in charge of the delivery. So working with FE and HE, and there's been a bit of tension between FE and HE because they want to deliver different things. But the fact that we secured £750,000, I think, and got to this stage, and there's over demand for the Train the Trainer course. So we're running the final cohort from January to March. And we will have, exceeded our outputs under the Community Renewal Fund, which funded £500,000 of this. So the next stage is, how do we fund it beyond March, and what do we do with it? Where do we take it? And that's what we're looking at feasibility study at the minute. So, but happy to share our pain and our gain with any of the other local authorities.
In equal measure, yes.
Yes, absolutely.
And you must be being looked at by business as a place now to locate, because that's a unique set of ingredients you've got.
Yeah, again, I foresee that we want to attract FDI, and we want companies to come in who are in the clean tech sector and say, well, we can deliver a solution here. We can upskill your people. We have access to Wrightbus. We're particularly targeting Wrightbus supply chain companies who would be interested in them. And if we do, we're also working in the these testbed projects in hydrogen. And again, because we have the fibre, we have the plastic gas network, it's really, really an excellent opportunity for us to do some innovative testing in different areas and see what will work. So we would see that as a strong attractor for both external companies and existing companies within Northern Ireland.
So it's not someone that doesn't really know much about the subject, but basically is the plastic pipe you need because metal would effectively be fractured by the hydrogen, and it's a pretty small molecule.
So,
the smallest it'll get out of any
I
gap.
think you guys are always very envious that we have this plastic, because it'll make it so much easier to do that test, and we will see how that, what the outputs from that are.
Because that's in the estimates ranging from 25 to 100 billion to replace the pipework across the rest of the UK, which, so how much of the industries that are coming to you are reliant on having a sort of Northern Ireland-wide pipe network, or are there things that are being generated as ideas from a hydrogen base that could be more hyper-local, if you like? Can you do something within a street or within a town that you don't need a region-wide network? So
the I4C is going into St Patrick's Barracks regeneration site. And within that, there's a number of social housing, and we're working with them. So that would be your initial test bed area. I think there's 40 houses going into that. Not sure.
I think it's more like 100.
100, right? Okay,
150,
sorry.
I think.
So that's what we use, something like that. So you can do it along that scale. We're also looking at test beds in Larne as well, and you'd be talking about very localised areas, streets or whatever, as the pilot first of all.
Generate the hydrogen on site?
That's the plan eventually. That's the ultimate goal. You want to be able to do that, because at the minute in our pilot training academy, we're storing hydrogen in the tanks, and that costs a lot, and then the price has gone up. So you want to have all of that on site together. Yeah, brilliant, brilliant. Mark, you're clearly not, you didn't mention hydrogen in your mix, but you're clearly using electric as a means for transport. I mean, you're a pretty large area. Has there been any challenges in that, in moving to electric for transport?
No, I mean, it's always been, there's obviously the council's got its own climate change declaration, but part of that is I oversee school meals and facilities. So we looked at our own climate declaration that we would support our own agenda within our buildings, within our schools, and then within our fleet. I suppose the electric fleet hasn't been new, we've been using electric fleet for quite some time now. But it is how we evolve, and what we ask maybe our suppliers to start looking at. We want them to invest in their own teams, and we want to grow their own, if you like, for want of a better word, but also to promote what we're trying to do. And the only way we can tell ourselves that we are sustainable is we've asked our suppliers to be sustainable as much as possible. So it's nothing new. We don't really see the logistics. We have plenty of chargers, and we have plenty of facilities to get them charged up, and the logistics of that is just a matter of managing the fleet when we go out and deliver either meals or community events. So we had a question come in from our audience about how can we ensure our council creates sustainable waste disposal. Now it's a bit of fun. We haven't got any waste management people here, but anybody want to have a crack at that one to look at that? You've obviously from the HVO point of view, you've got a view, but
I'll pick that up. Most councils have got quite well developed waste policies now. I mean, we certainly have in Suffolk. It's a big ask for a local authority to sort every single piece of waste to make sure that none of it is actually, buried. I know that in Suffolk we don't bury any waste. It's what we can't recycle is turned into heat, but it is incineration. I think it's a process that over time is going to involve everyone from the individual to changing their own behaviour about what they buy, through to working with supermarkets to reduce waste. So to reduce the waste at source rather than having to sort through. I mean, I know at home we've got 3 or 4 bins, and we're ripping bits of plastic off bits of cardboard, and the packaging industry itself needs to become more sustainable. Personally, I think we should be moving back towards glass storage. Glass has got so many uses in the fact that we are running out of building sand, and glass can be crushed and reused as an aggregate. So there are lots of different ways that individuals can influence the outcome of waste disposal. You know, local authorities, certainly it's our job to collect the waste, but in terms of what's then done with it, that's a larger scale opportunity for the UK, and everyone has a chance to influence that. And I would strongly suggest to any local authority, involve your communities as much as you can in these decisions. Citizens' assemblies are becoming very powerful. I talked briefly with a colleague, you know, that perhaps what we need to do is to embrace the technological age and social media, and ask people who are really busy during their day to form citizens' assemblies, so that we can get action from the ground up and from the top down. Because we can't do it on our own.
For sure. I mean, you've mentioned it in passing in the supply chain, in the food side, and there's a lot of issues around food waste, and let alone the sort of the associated packaging, etc. Is that something you concentrate on, you measure, and you manage?
Yeah, we just started, actually. I was going to come in on that. We have a climate change, obviously declaration, but we also have a climate change seminar for our young people, and we're trying to get those to run with it within their schools, the eco groups, and we're engaging with them just now. What we have started doing is we're running a few pilots within our schools, for instance, because we do just produce a lot of, I was say a lot of food waste, that'd be wrong, but within the food waste from the school meals, if it's not eaten, it's making sure, first of all, it goes into the right bag, but also what we've started and asked them to do is they weigh it every day, and we look at it as how we can reduce that waste in total. There's also a campaign going within the council about waste in general, going out through the waste department, and what that's doing is focusing on little messages and little sort of tweaks to what people are doing within their own households. And often we do see the package, which is full of food, going into the normal residual bins. So we're looking at how that can be developed, and more food bins have been issued on the back of that campaign, where people have asked for them again to be issued out again. So it's still ongoing. Recycling, ways that we cook food, the ways that we sell it, I suppose, and cook it, and then present it on the tables. But also, it's about food education, not overcooking in the first place, is what we do in some of the food education programs, and then showing them how to weigh up a Pacific one portion, or to use it the next day if they've got leftover food. That's part of the food education programs as well, to try and reduce that food waste in the first instance. Yeah,
excellent. Any thoughts from Mid East Antrim? And obviously it's not your area, but is there something that you're doing in terms of looking at the waste management and how you're making that sustainable?
Yeah, I think what I would like to see is some of our supermarkets introduce some of the machines that they have in the rest of Europe, where you can take back your cans and your plastic bottles, recycle them there, you know, and get so much. You get a little note that says how much you saved, and it comes off your shopping. Yeah. And it means there's less litter around for a start.
Change. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I think that's been a great introduction to the subject matter. If anybody there wishes to come and get more information, then we will connect you. If you want to see more, there's a question about virtual tours of the hydrogen labs, but we are. I'm certainly going out to see things shortly.
We did do that. We have done that, right, so we can do that.
So if you want to know more about any of the things that you've heard about this morning, then we will arrange for that for you. But hopefully what we've done at least is to start to show that actually moving on the environmental, social and economic sustainability of our communities isn't an added cost. Actually, A, it's an impact benefit, but B, actually it delivers a reduced cost of living for some of our most vulnerable members of our communities, but for the community as a whole. So that you mentioned it, Mark, in terms of vibrant communities, and I know that's a whole thrust in East Ayrshire, but to have a vibrant community, we have to build this as part of business as usual for our communities. So that's the end of this session. It's been a great session. Thank you to all of our panelists, and I look forward to seeing you in the next session.